wonderful musicians. I asked Stephen to sing that song because we're right in the middle of talking about intuition and the windmills of our minds and all the stuff that goes on inside there. So I just love that. We're right at the end of our series about intuition, and I don't know about you, but it's working on me. Nobody. Our theme is activating a sense of intuition, and we've been looking at all the different aspects, how to recognize it so you can listen, what happens when you do recognize and you don't listen, practicing stillness as a way of listening, all of that. And it seems to be quite appropriate because I don't know about you, but there's a lot of change going on in my life. Are you experiencing that? In the world, and certainly here at the Center for Spiritual Living, we've had a whole lot of change going on, and change can be disorienting, challenging. So I've been enrolling the leadership, the different groups within the center, the practitioners, the board of trustees, the staff, and now you. We're working together during this time of change, and we've been practicing along certain specific lines with the question, what is ours to do as leadership? What's ours to do? Because with change going on, is it our job to maintain the change? If something is broken, is our job to fix it? Is it our job to make sure the church grows? What is our job to do? Because as we looked at it together, we see, well, none of that's really our job. We've got different responsibilities and certain things we're supposed to do, but what is really ours to do is for each one of us in our own way to awaken to the highest consciousness we can, and then let that consciousness instruct us as to what should be done and shouldn't be done. Because, and if you've been here a while, and I see many familiar faces, because you already know consciousness is cause. That's what makes you a metaphysician. And I mention it because I notice for me that at times of change, times of stress, times of confusion, times of growth, very often my first reaction is to turn to what is happening in the outer world for instruction. And if it's broken, fix it. And if it's in disarray, replan it. Get a strategy. Get the ducks all lined up. And then I forget, what is it that's cause? Because I'm so focused on the effect. Planning and strategy is very important, and part of that's my responsibility, and you've got your responsibilities. That's all good. And at the same time, the thing that makes us a spiritual center in comparison to, say, for example, any other kind of, let's say, commercial enterprise or organization, the thing that makes us a spiritual center is that we are about practicing to make our primary work be in consciousness. In the sacred silence, where intuition is. So we're all about practicing to make our inner work our first work. And I have to tell that to myself frequently. Because as I said, my tendency is to look around first, outside. Look at the effects and deal with them. And goodness knows there are all kinds of things out there that need dealing with. Out in my world, out in my garage, out in my checkbook, out in my relationships, out in my job, out in my household. Things to do. And then so I get busy with it, and now I've got a lifetime work ahead of me. Fixing things. And because I don't look at the place where everything originates in mind, then the world out there continues to endlessly represent to me the state of my consciousness, tirelessly reproducing in form what was first conceived in mind. Now, I know it's not for everybody, but it's why you are a metaphysician. I know. I know. It's the horse pill of metaphysics, It's hard to swallow, but you don't need me to tell you. You've already thought about it yourself, because you encounter it, Then when you find yourself there, you are in the midst of moving the furniture of your life around. Move this, fix this, move. But the direction from within is staying the same all the time. So you can never move enough furniture. Yeah? Yeah. And if you are already calling yourself a metaphysician, then you're practicing to develop this habit of turning inward first, frequently, often, on a regular basis, to the place where the mind of creation intersects with your own personal ideas to see if they match. And then you practice this, and from the practice you begin to become more and more aware of what is going on inside, and how everything that's going on inside seems mysteriously to lead to everything that's going on outside. And you begin to notice how what is moving in your individual consciousness has something to do with your individual choices and actions and relationship. And then if you keep at it, then you start to notice, for any work to be really effective in this realm, you've got to come face to face with the question of how honest am I really being with myself about what is going on inside. Then you start to make, you have to make agreements with yourself to not deceive yourself about what's going on inside. Because you've got to begin to notice the difference between what you say because you want it to be true versus what is true and real. You start, why? Because you start to notice that it is very difficult to change anything in consciousness if you and I are not willing to fess up about what's inside there. So here is one of my methods. There are many methods. Here's one of the methods I use to get more honest about what is going on inside of my consciousness. I look at and I listen to what is going on around me. You see, I look outwardly for clues about what is going on inwardly. In particular, I listen to what is being said to me to get some clues about what I'm saying to myself. In particular, I listen to what is being said to me and I pay special attention to those things that tweak me and stress me out. Because I've learned that's right where the gold is. That's where it is. That's where it is. Right there. And what tweaks you? That's where the gold is. There. I use this example often when I'm teaching the self-mastery class, so forgive me if you've heard it already, but when we get to that part about projection and taking things personally and reactiveness, I tell the story about several years ago, a visitor came to the Center for Spiritual Living, and I used to stand and greet people as they went out, and she's standing there shaking my hand, talking to me in the middle of her sentence. She stops and she looks at me and she says, "Yeah, you're not 30 years old, are you?" Here's the point. If it tweaks me, then it's for me. Yeah? So a couple of years ago, many years ago, actually, another visitor comes to the service, and after the service he comes up and he says, "Pastor, not a good time in your center. It's very, very welcoming, but you're just not connected to your heart. I just don't get it." Here's the point.